Guys, if you haven't heard, Russia's Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines have been ruptured in 3 different places by what can only be assumed is sabotage. I'm going to look at what's going on, why it was likely done, and the very short list of suspects. Let's get started. If you don't know, Nord Stream 1 and 2 are Russian pipelines going right from Russia to Germany through the Baltic Sea. And they both can carry 55 billion cubic meters or BCMs of natural gas, although only Nord Stream 1 was operational. Nord Stream 2 is built and was ready to carry gas, but Germany did not yet certify it and canceled plans to allow it to operate when Russia invaded Ukraine in February. Also, Nord Stream 1 has now been shut down since August because of maintenance and the return of a turbine that was delayed because of sanctions. So basically, neither of these pipelines were moving any gas to Germany. So why would someone blow them up? And let's be clear, this was not an accident or even made to look like one. This can't be explained away by saying a ship anchor was dragging along the bottom and ruptured these pipelines in 3 different locations. This is a direct provocation to Russia saying, yeah, we blew up your pipelines. What are you going to do about it? So let's take a look at some info on the incident. So the German magazine Spiegel said that the CIA warned Germany of a possible Nord Stream pipeline attack. Yeah, okay. So it sounds like the CIA is already projecting blaming somebody else for what they did. And here somebody said, Michael Schellenberger, Russia could have pulled off such an attack, but it is difficult to see whether Russia or Ukraine could have an interest in such an incident. Yeah, did they find brand new Russian passports and some vodka bottles right around where this explosion took place? And Prime Minister of Denmark said that the damage are deliberate actions, not an accident. And the Biden White House is not going to speculate on the cause, but the U.S. stands ready to support European partners' efforts as they investigate. And U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said it would be in no one's interest if Nord Stream leaks were confirmed as the result of an attack or sabotage. Except for the fact that they've been trying to shut down Russia's pipelines since forever so they can sell U.S. natural gas to Europe and weaken Russia and not let them have money to fight their war. So it is definitely in somebody's interest. It's not in Russia's, it's in the U.S.'s interest. And so the Swedish broadcaster said that the Swedish National Seismic Network detected 2 underwater explosions near the Nord Stream pipeline system on Monday. One of the explosions had a magnitude of 2.3 and was registered as many as 30 measuring stations in southern Sweden. So it was a big explosion. It's not some Ukrainian throwing a stick of dynamite down there and getting lucky. And so here is the Nord Stream 1 and 2. The 1 is the solid red. The dotted line is Nord Stream 2. And they run along the same route into Lubmin, Germany. And they both can carry 55 BCMs. And these are the first images of the gas bubble fields. And the Danish Defense Forces says that the bubble field is 700 meters in diameter, or about 400 feet across. That thing is huge. So Nord Stream AG, the operator of the pipeline, said that the destruction that happened within 1 day at 3 lines of the Nord Stream pipeline system is unprecedented and impossible now to estimate the time frame for restoring operations of the gas shipment infrastructure. Some estimates are that it could be out for a year or longer. The evidence points to a violent act rather than a technical issue, according to a German security official. As always, you have to ask, who benefits from this? Some people might say it is a Russian false flag to increase the intensity of the Ukraine war, but this makes no sense because they have already shut down Nord Stream 1 based on real or exaggerated issues. So there is no need to blow up their own pipelines which also hinders their negotiating position with Europe if there are no pipelines to turn back on. The obvious answer to anyone who isn't even following this closely is that it was the US. And usually when people threaten to do something on video and that thing happens, the police make them the prime suspects. So, is there any video of anyone threatening the pipelines? Let's see.
Question first. If Germany, if Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly? Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will promise you we'll be able.
Okay. If Russia invades one way or another, two will not.
That for sure. Where's your confidence?
As I said, we've had extensive consultations at every level with our German allies. I'm not going to get into this today, but we will work with Germany to ensure.
Well, I'm sure Victoria Nuland cares a lot about Europeans and wouldn't want to see them freeze just to get back at Russia, right?
So that would be great, I think, to help glue this thing and have the UN help glue it. And, fuck the EU.
No, exactly.
Now, the US itself could have actually carried it out since they were allegedly in the vicinity of the area when this happened, or it could be directed and planned by the US with someone else like Ukraine carrying out so that they have plausible deniability if they get caught in the act. But I doubt they would leave it up to Ukraine, who probably do not have the resources and the training to do this. Either way, like Putin said, when they retaliate against attacks on Russia, they will not attack the countries where the attack initiated, but where the decision-making centers are. And that means Washington, D.C. and London. So why would the U.S. choose to blow up the pipelines now when they aren't even carrying any gas? Well, because winter is coming and there are already protests in Germany to turn on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. These protests will increase as it gets colder and more people can't afford to heat their homes and businesses can't afford to operate. Now add to this the election in Italy, which is the second biggest importer of Russian natural gas. The woman who will likely be the next prime minister has said that the Russian sanctions are suicide for Italy. So if the sanctions solidarity crumbles in Europe this winter, starting with Italy and Germany, Russia would turn the gas back on and have even more money to fund their war, while at the same time crushing the U.S. LNG exports to Europe that cost about 3 times more for gas than they get through Russian pipelines. It sounds like the playbook for when Spanish explorers landed in South America. They burned the boats so that the crew couldn't turn back and leave. This is like what America is doing to Europe so that they don't change their mind on sanctions. It's a little like that famous scene from A Bronx Tale.
Now you can't leave.
Like Henry Kissinger said, it may be dangerous to be America's enemy, but to be America's friend is fatal. Now, obviously, this was not done at the spur of the moment. This was something that was planned for a while. So it could have been made to look like a ship had accidentally dragged their anchor and damaged one of the pipelines, but to do it with explosions in 3 separate locations to make both pipelines inoperable for at least a year or more is a blatant act of war. As always, the psychopaths in our governments are dragging us into wars that the people don't want. The only good news in this is that this may be the last war that anybody on this planet ever sees. Thanks for watching, guys.